Hey everybody, Ross here, and this is Bible Study Superstar. If this is your first time on this channel, click the first link down in the description to go back to the intro, or if you'd like to see just what's been going on recently, click the second link down in the description to go back to Leviticus 17 to 28, or was it 18 to 27? It's been a while. Anyway, this is my first video after about a 4-ish month absence. That's why I didn't quite remember what the last video was off the top of my head. But anyway, if you're watching this, I am more than likely going through my next semester of college. If you're wondering, I am going for software engineering through Arizona State University's online program. But anyway, this, as the title of the video implies, is the introduction to numbers. As always, the way I go about this is I read 10 chapters at a time until I'm done with the book. And, 10 chapters a day till I'm done with the book. And I take very broad overview notes to just give a, big picture outlook on the book. So, without further ado, let's get into that overview. So anyway, here we go. The Book of Numbers starts with the first census of Israel to determine the nation's military strength, as well as assigning each tribe's military general. The next major portion of the book discusses the responsibilities of the tribe of Levi, which was tasked with the care of the tabernacle and of the people. A few more laws are given next, in the same style as we saw in Leviticus. Generally, they covered confessions, restitutions, marital unfaithfulness, and how the Nazarites were to conduct themselves. Once the leaders of Israel were appointed, their individual offerings are given in great detail. More dedications and laws follow after this, including how the people were to know when to march and when to camp, among other things, until God finally tells them to depart from Mount Sinai. The next major chunk of the book makes me wonder why it wasn't called the Book of Complaints instead of the Book of Numbers. Other than a few more laws spread throughout the section, the main focus is the overwhelming complaining Israel does against both God and Moses. During this time, God has Moses send 12 spies into the Promised Land to spy it out. 10 of the 12 doubt God and give a bad report, saying it was impossible to take the land, then go back to complaining with the rest of the people. The remaining 2, Joshua and Caleb, were the only ones that believed God's promises, saying that God would provide them the victory. The complaints and doubts of the people were so frequent and so severe that God's anger was aroused, and the consequences were broad. Not only were the instigators killed, but the entire generation, except for Joshua and Caleb, was not to enter the Promised Land. The stress of all this even got to Moses. He was so frustrated with the people's complaints and doubts that he disobeyed some of God's instructions. The consequence of that was that Moses was now not allowed to go into the Promised Land, just like the rest of that generation. The next section covers Israel's successful campaigns against the armies of the land of Canaan. It also gives insight into the efforts of one king named Balak to have Israel cursed, which backfired in his face. Even after all the victories and all the displays of God's power, though, Israel still doubts and complains against God and Moses. Speaking of Moses, During this time, God has Moses appoint Joshua as his successor upon Moses' death. After another census, followed by another section of laws, we see the final set of military campaigns in this book. And finally, the book ends with the tribes of Israel beginning to receive their inheritances, as well as commands on how to distribute the land of Canaan when God gives it to them, and how to maintain each inheritance's purity among each tribe. And that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments, feedback, or suggestions, leave them down below in the comments. Thanks everybody for watching, and I will see you all soon with numbers 1 through 10.